On Tuesday, June 2nd, 2015, at around 10 p.m., an Italy, Texas police officer pulled two brothers over on I-35 near the Italy exit, in which they went into a nearby Shell gas station. The police officer who stopped them ended up searching their car because there was probable cause, and they ended up finding a gun inside the car. But while the officer was searching the car of the two brothers that he pulled over, the two brothers then decided to hop into the officer's Chevy Tahoe and drive off. When the officer noticed, he tried to smash the SUV's windows and ripped the door handle off the SUV. This caused significant injuries to his hand. Then a Milford police officer, who was at the gas station, fired several shots at the tires of the SUV, but missed. And then the two brothers took off on the I-35. The police chased the stolen SUV for around an hour, and at points even laid out spike strips to try and pop the tires of the car. The two brothers finally stopped in the southbound lanes of I-35 near Forreston, just south of the Waxahachie city limits. When the negotiator started talking with the two brothers, they identified themselves as Miguel and Daniel. Miguel told the police that he didn't want to go back to jail, and according to this article by KHOU 11, Daniel, the other brother, was also heard making demands. They communicated with a two-way radio inside the stolen police SUV. Miguel would eventually tell the negotiator that he had a knife, but eventually said that he only found a set of keys that he found in the SUV. At this point, the talking between the two brothers and the negotiator was heard live by nearly 1,000 people across the internet who found the audio feed on the internet. This included 4chan, but more specifically /poll. I already talked about this event very briefly on the second 4chan Iceberg, but I wanted to revisit it just so I could talk more in depth about it, and because I found more stuff that ties into it. Miguel would either ask the negotiator if they could call a close friend to get in contact with their mom, or just straight up call his mom. He also told the negotiator that he had an estranged relationship with his mother, which eventually drove him to experiment with drugs in high school. Miguel would also end up saying the number, and that is basically when /poll joined in. /poll, from what I understand, took the phone number that Miguel said in the two-way negotiation call with the negotiator and spam call it so that the negotiator or the police department could not get in touch with the people they were trying to get in touch with. And this just made, I guess, Miguel furious. He didn't know what was happening really. I doubt the negotiator knew either. He just couldn't get in touch with the people that Miguel was trying to talk to. So yeah, I can't find any original thread or post numbers to search up the original thread, but I was able to find a picture of a couple of posts on a thread after the event was finished. So I searched up the post number on 4plebs and the thread was archived. Like I said, this is not the original thread, but I will still be using it to try and understand what role /poll played in this. So yeah, I'll go with this first one. This post on the thread says this: YFW, /poll twisted the fate of two men via livestream by blocking phone calls. He could have lived /poll. Another post says this: still, there are dead people and /poll is claiming responsibility. That's pretty /B tier. Here's another post supporting that /poll blocked phone calls. We clogged up the mom's phone, so he couldn't talk to her. Then he said fuck it and heroed. Some people on this thread were doubtful that /poll even affected the outcome whatsoever, with one anon posting this: the bullshit about /poll clogging the lines is nothing but wishful thinking on the part of a bunch of dumbasses. And another anon posting this: some of you guys are fucking delusional. All you did was sit on the internet and shitpost it and laugh at others' expense and possibly tried to call some random number on a stream in the hopes that you could affect something. I think some of you desperately want to be part of something that actually makes shit happen. Sitting on your computer is not going to do it. But in the end, /poll takes the credit for leading Miguel/Daniel to the outcome that they did. So before I get into this next part, I will say I tried finding the two-way radio call on the internet, and I did find a single page that would, I assume, had it posted on it, but when I clicked on the link, it didn't have it on it. It was deleted. But someone on 4chan, or I assume someone on 4chan because that's where I found it, ended up recording it and posting it on their SoundCloud. I won't link it. I also won't be playing audio clips of it because I don't know if I can post it. Just because if it was public, then I could post it. But since it really isn't, and the only other page I could find was deleted, besides like this random SoundCloud account, which has it kind of buried in the page, I don't think I could post it. So yeah, someone did post a link to that SoundCloud account on 4chan, so that's where I heard it. I did go through the whole audio to find, I don't want to say most interesting parts because that sounds kind of disrespectful, but like the parts that stood out the most to me. At the beginning of the recording, Miguel and the negotiator are talking, and from the sounds of it, they have already been talking for a while. Miguel says that he will stop if only one squad car is following him, but the negotiator says that he can't do that, and at least it will have to be 3 squad cars. At around 8 minutes, the tires of the car that Miguel and Daniel are in end up popping, and the car is now producing sparks. The negotiator tries to get him to stop since the car might catch on fire. And then around 17 minutes of the recording, it seems that Miguel has now stopped the car, but he is telling the negotiator that he doesn't want to shoot anyone, but he wants them to shoot him. Miguel and the negotiator just talk, but around 24 minutes and 55 seconds, Miguel says, "Just shoot me." The negotiator does not want that to happen. Then Miguel says this, "First I'm gonna have to do it to my brother, and then me. Please don't make me do this." The negotiator then asks Miguel if he has a brother, and I assume that he didn't know that Daniel or the other guy in the car was his brother, so that's probably why he's asking this. Then Miguel says this, "Into his left side of his neck, and then I'm gonna rip it to the right side." I don't know if I said this, but Miguel claims that he only has a knife with him, and that there's also 2 locked rifles in the police car. We do come to find out that later he doesn't have a knife, or at least that's what he says. I don't know if that's true, but he says he has a knife at the beginning, but then towards the end of the whole ordeal, he says that it was just a key. Then 2 minutes pass, with Daniel asking the negotiator how much time he's looking at right now, with the negotiator saying that he doesn't know, and if he did say a number, then it really wouldn't matter since Daniel would probably still not like it. Then Daniel responds with this,
"It doesn't matter, because if I'm in jail for more than 20 years, my son will never know me. So why does it matter to me? Like, there's no point. I'm losing out of this. I will never see my son after this. Yeah, I just can't. I want to die tonight, whether it's by you guys, by my own hand, or by something we do by you guys."
They talk for a bit more, and Daniel is saying how they did this because they had a gun registered to a friend in the car with them, and how they thought they were going to go to jail. The negotiator then explains that that was still legal in Texas. Daniel then asks about what their charge was going to be, with the negotiator contacting the original officer who got the SUV stolen from them. And then the negotiator says that Miguel was going to get a class 3 misdemeanor. They argue for a bit more, with Daniel now thinking that he can't trust the negotiator for lying to him. At 39 minutes, Daniel asks the negotiator for a phone to make a couple of last phone calls. But then Miguel and Daniel find a phone in the SUV, and just ask them for a code to unlock the phone, so that they can make the phone calls through that phone. Daniel also says that he knows that they could get the code, since the negotiator had contacted the original officer who stopped them. The negotiator doesn't give them a code, and asks them to give them the number of the person that they are trying to have a phone call with, and they will transfer the phone call to that phone. And at around 44 minutes, their close friend's phone number is set on the call. Also, as I said earlier, this is when 4chan apparently gets involved. I say apparently because some people claim that 4chan did play a role in this, some people aren't, like I explained in some of the posts. Slashpole, or the people that were listening in, spammed the phone number with phone calls of their own, so that the 2 brothers and the police department could not get a phone call to connect. And then around 50 minutes, the audio loops, and I'm just bringing this up to keep like a timeline so I won't like mess you guys up if you guys do decide to listen to it on your own. And at around 59 minutes, Daniel says that the continuous questions is just pissing him off, and all that they're asking for is for one phone call so that they could end the standoff and they won't have to do anything stupid. The negotiator says that he's been trying to make a phone call, but he can't reach them and it's going straight to voicemail. So I guess this kind of, I wouldn't say this proves that /Pol clogged the phone calls, but it at least kind of gives them like kind of inclines me to believe it slightly more than I had before. At around 1 hour and 32 seconds, the negotiator tries to talk to Daniel, but he doesn't respond, and then calls out to Miguel, and Miguel responds with, "I'm with you, but he's about to not be." This obviously gets the negotiator wondering of what has happened or what's going to happen, and they talk for a bit more. Miguel ends up saying that he could give them his mom's number since the other one is not working. At around 1 hour and 5 minutes and 52 seconds, Daniel comes back to the call and says this:
"If I don't get my phone call, I will have my brother kill me tonight."
At around 1 hour, 12 minutes and 50 seconds, Miguel says that if he doesn't get his phone call, then in around 5 minutes he will be that guy. The negotiator asks them what that means, and then Miguel says that he's going to kill them both. This meaning Daniel and himself, I assume. Then the negotiator says that he can't do the phone calls if he's threatening to kill his brother, and that if they surrender, that the negotiator will personally let them make the phone calls right there and then. At around 1 hour, 14 minutes and 51 seconds, Miguel responds to the negotiator when asked if there's a chance of giving himself up. "Right now, 0. But in like 3 minutes, if you guys like help me out, and I know I haven't given you much to like, for me, any benefit of the doubt, or if you give me a phone, or if you give me a phone call, or even a fucking, or something, I'm sorry. I really wanted closure with my mom before I went to fucking prison, for at least 10 to 15, or maybe even 20 for this." Yeah, I know that sounds weird, but that's how it sounded to me when I recorded it, and I used Adobe Premiere Pro to try to like transcribe it to figure out what they were saying. But yeah, it was just all weird. That's how I understood it as, or like what I heard while listening to it. Sorry about that if it doesn't make sense. The negotiator tells Miguel that he would make sure that he gets those phone calls if he voluntarily gives himself up right now. Not when they get to prison, but he'll make those phone calls right here on the road. After the negotiator tells him that, Miguel is heard over the radio saying this: "I'm getting out and I'm shooting you guys. Fuck." The negotiator then tries to talk to Daniel, but he never responds, and it's safe to assume that by this point, Daniel is already dead. After Miguel shouted that, he got out of the car with a gun in hand, and he was shot 10 to 20 times by the officers on the scene. Police later said that the other brother appeared to have killed himself, and that Miguel used a stolen police-issued rifle to threaten authorities before his death. All the articles about this event seem to end there. There really is no follow-up to all of this, at least from what I could find. They never said their last names, nor do the articles ever say their last names, so I'm not sure how to find anything else out. But do you guys think that 4chan, more specifically /Pol, or I guess led to these two guys taking their own lives? They were clearly thinking about it before 4chan even got involved, but I guess 4chan solidified it. I really don't know. What do you guys think? Hey, what's up guys, it's Adis, one half of the Aura Highway. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you did or not. Like, comment, and subscribe. Specifically those first two. It really helps us out in the YouTube algorithm. Pushes out our videos more. I really don't know what to say. I guess I'll just explain how I'm gonna be. I don't know. I do have summer classes, but those start in like 2 weeks. I'll try to upload like a video or two before then, or at least one, and have like one worked through for like, so I could upload it during my summer classes. My next video will probably be a Mano Peluda episode, if you're interested in that. If you guys don't know what that is, it's just like a scary Mexican radio show. And they usually, at least the way I've covered it, is usually like the host takes a phone call from one of the listeners, and the listeners will tell a story to the radio host. And yeah, it's very interesting, especially because the most popular one is called The Case of Josue, and he's basically a guy that made a deal with a demon, and it's like a whole I don't know how to like summarize it here, but he makes a deal with a demon. He tells the host how how his life is, and how his deal with the demon is, and how he wants help, and at the end he couldn't really help him. And then like 20 years later, the host meets up with the guy that supposedly made a deal with the devil, and they're like talking like in person this time 20 years later. The guy is showing them around and stuff, and then I think a week later the host dies, and everyone attributes that to the guy that made a deal with the devil. And it's a crazy story. And there's more crazy stuff like that too. And yeah, I just gotta find the case that I want to cover. So yeah, sorry for rambling here. I'm gonna try to make another 4chan Iceberg. There's just not a lot of entries anymore that I could do. We'll probably just put them all together into one episode and add the other stuff that I have found into those as well. Yeah, I don't know. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.